In this lesson, you'll receive an overview of visual data editing. You'll learn how to create insert statements, how to extract data as XML, and how to carry out advanced functions like schema and data migration. DBArtisan XE provides comprehensive facilities to help you manage the data in all of your databases. Let's take a look at our visual data editor. For this example, we'll connect to our SQL Server data source. Into our GIM database again. This time let's look at the investment type. Right click, we'll select Edit Data from here, or we can again go to the Tools menu, Data Editor. We're brought up and we're asked to select the columns we'd like to add. Here we can also type a where clause if we want to limit the data. Press OK. And here we have our list of rows for the table. Let's take a look at some of the options that our data editor provides for us. First, and probably most important, is our live and batch mode. In this case, let's go to our batch mode. Live is really straightforward. When we step off, we're going to go ahead and issue the update or delete statement. And we can go through, we can insert a new record if we'd like. If we select a row, we can go ahead and edit the data. Let's just, for this example, let's just add the S. We can save the current row. We can do an undo. We can go to the last record or first record. We can filter the data again, putting that where clause on there. We can bring up the filter data dialog. We can reload the data. We can look at a calendar if it's a date field. Again, date time format, undo, and redo the date changes. So in this case, we've made a change to the data, and it does not take effect until we step off of the row. So let's go ahead and click on row 2, and when we do, we can see that we've created the statement begin tran, update, set the investment type to common stocks where the ID equals 1, and then a commit tran. If we want to go ahead and make another change, let's go down to row 8, add an S on the end, step off, and here we have our second update statement. So again, when we're in batch mode, we're just queuing these statements up, ready to be run. They are not executed at this time. So if we'd like to execute, we can simply hit the execute the code in the iSQL window, or we can take this code out, copy it, and paste it into an iSQL window and run it at that time. So again, the big difference between live and batch mode. Live, when I step off, it will ask me if I want to go ahead and execute the statement, and when I select yes, it will send the statement directly to the database. In batch mode, we're able to batch the statements up and run them at one time. Let's take a step back now, and we will not execute those. Press no. Now let's take a look at creating insert statements, and for that let's step over to our Oracle database. As you can see, I'm able to navigate through my multiple platforms in a really seamless manner by just selecting the nodes and hopping back and forth. So we'll go into our GIM schema. We'll look at the client. I'll tell you what, let's look at the broker. In this example, we want to go ahead and create insert statements. So maybe I want to export the data from this table into another table, or maybe the same table on another database. So here I can select the columns that I want to work with. So we'll select all. Again, as you noticed before with our visual data editor, we have a where clause. If we want to further reduce the rows returned, we can include owner or schema information on the insert statements. So if I want to insert this into the GIM schema on another database, I can go ahead and select this option. Then I can select the row count. If I'm only interested in a limited number of rows, I can go ahead and select this. So let's go ahead and select that to 10. We'll press OK. And DBArtisan then will go out and pull that information back and return insert statements for us. So here we are. We have the values. Scroll down and we can see we have 10 rows returned. So really quickly, DBArtisan simply right click from the context menu and bring back the create insert statements, and we can create the insert statements for the data, for the information. Now also, we're able to work with the table data and extract it as XML. So here we'll right click again, Look in the context menu, come down and extract data as XML. That very common look and feel. This is the third wizard we've seen that looks just like this. So we look at our columns, we can do the where clause, we can have a row tag settings, the set tag and the row tag and the max rows. Again, I'll select 10, and this we'll go ahead and select OK. And here you can see that we've extracted this data in an XML format. So if we need the data in XML format to be able to move it around, we can certainly do that and set the row tags as well using the wizard provided for us by DBArtisan. So let's close this and let's take a look at some of the more advanced options that we provide within DBArtisan, and that's going to be utilizing our utilities menu, mainly the schema extraction, migration, and publication options. So here let's take a look at our schema extraction. And it's all a wizard-driven approach you're familiar with now working with DBArtisan. We'll press Next, and we'll look at our SQL Server data source that we have. Press Next again. We bring back a list of databases within the data source. So here I can just start typing. It restricts it to GEM. Press Next. Here we can select the schemas. If we want to further reduce it, press OK. Now for this example, I'm just going to select some of the objects that I'm interested in. So here we're going to select functions, indexes, procedures. We'll get primary keys, schemas, tables, triggers, and unique keys. All right, we can select all of these if we like. We'll also select views. So here, to show you a little bit of the functionality and the flexibility, here when we select the schemas, we can select all the dependencies within here. If we bring this back up, select tables, we can select the dependencies we'd like to be brought over. On the right hand side, we're looking at the objects. So if I look at the views, extract that, expand that, we're going to see the actual views that are brought over. Here I can restrict this list. So in the views, I'm going to uncheck GEM new. If I go to tables, let's go ahead and uncheck this one. I'll uncheck a couple of these. Broker 2, I'll uncheck that. Go down a little bit more. We'll uncheck these other ones that were created. Keep only the ones that we're really interested in. So there, we can then press Next, and at this point we're presented with a preview window. Again, this is simply a preview window. This is not indicative of the objects that we've selected. I want to point that out. We've had some confusion with that with customers in the past. So again, to highlight what we can do, we script the owner is selected. If we uncheck this, you'll notice that the owner is removed. So for instance, this preview, create table orders, if we select the owner, it'll continue and say DBO dot. So know that's just simply a preview window. So here we can group the dependencies, we can script the drop statements if we're interested in that. We can go ahead, we do have some data movement. We can truncate the table. The option by default is don't truncate. Data movement, we can use insert statements or no movement. That's the option I'm going to choose. We can also update the statistics as part of the job. Let's go ahead and see what we have selected here. Alright, press Next. At this point, we're able to run the job. So I'm going to stop right now without actually running the job. What's going to happen here is when I hit finish, it's going to create the job and going to create a SQL statement and output the entire script to the file. So I'll let this run and come back and show you the results. So we're back from the extraction job, and we're looking at all the objects that we ask it to create. And as we scroll down through, I'm going to go ahead and send it right to the end. You can see that we were able to let the tool create 1,800 lines of SQL code to extract all the objects that we requested be extracted from the database. And now we're ready to move that over if we want to drop that into a new data source, maybe stand up a new instance of the SQL Server database, we're able to do that. Also, from within the tools, the utilities option is a schema migration. So from here, we're able to migrate from one data source to another. For instance, we can do cross data source, cross-platform migrations. And having said that, to be clear, what we're talking about here are situations where we can migrate like objects. So for instance, Oracle has a concept of a package body. That's not applicable to Sybase, so we're not going to be able to migrate those objects. So where we have like objects, we're able to migrate those. So for instance, I'm going to select my SQL Server one there. My Sybase one is my target. So we can press next. We're looking at the population. For instance, we can select GIM there and temp there. Press next. We can go the same route that we were doing before. Very similar data source, very similar editor, I'm sorry. For this case, we just want to select the tables and all these dependencies. We have the tables here. We're going to go ahead and just uncheck a few. Actually, we'll uncheck them all and just check the ones that we're after. Alright, office location, press next. And what we have here are the similar options. We can move the data if we'd like. We can, some migration options, overwrite, generate script. We can generate the script here. If we do not select this, it will automatically run it for us, so we'll press next. Here we're going to generate the SQL. We also save this migration job, so at any time you'd like to come back and reopen it up and tweak a couple of the options, maybe add a few objects here and there, and you can do that without recreating the job from scratch. So we'll press finish here, and when it's finished I'll come back and show you. And here we are looking at the results of the extraction job. And here, as we expected, DBArtisan has went through and reverse engineered, and actually this example with the data movement turned on, I was able to create the insert statements for the object. So when I migrate this job over and actually execute it on my target, it will go ahead and place those create the objects as well as insert the data. And you'll also notice that DBArtisan was intelligent enough to select the target data source as well as the database. So if I'm ready, all I need to do now is press execute and this will run. DBArtisan took the time to walk me through and put me in the position to be able to execute this SQL statement. I'm also able to save it and run it at a later date. Lastly is our schema utility is the schema publication. And that is a wizard driven to create reports. So we can publish the reports. We'll press next. We'll take all these options. We'll go ahead and run it, and you'll see where we're going to place the HTML file, the file name, the report title. We can create that, view the report when operation is complete. So press next. And when we return, we'll go ahead and show you the report. We're back now looking at the schema publication report, and what DBArtisan is able to do is render the HTML report within DBArtisan, and we can go ahead and drill in to the database, look down, look at the different server level, database level objects, as well as scroll down, look at the DDL. For that, we can go ahead and scroll over here to the left side, look at all the logins, the remote servers, the link servers, the roles, so the tables as well. We can scroll down, look at the columns, the constraints, the storage, the table, the dependencies, as well as the DDL used to create this. So at this point, we're able to publish this report as in HTML format, so the rest of our organization can view and look at the information regarding the database or the data source or at the server level. So again, these are the advanced data management with DBArtisan XE.